I'm Cecy, and today I'll be telling you what books I read in October and also the books I want to read in November, even though I might not get to them. It's a very ambitious TBR. So, the first book that I read in October and finished in October was The Copper Gauntlet by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. And I loved it. It was so good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and for those of you who don't know, Cassandra Clare and Holly Black co-wrote the Magisterium series, and so far there is 2 books out. This is the second book, and the first book is called The Iron Trial, and it's about a boy who is a mage, so he has magical powers, and he goes to magic school. I'm very bad with summaries, so I'm not going to tell you much because I would probably ruin it. I really suggest the series. It's a middle grade series, but I like to read a little bit of middle grade and a little bit of children's books sometimes, as well as young adult and adult, and this is a really good one, so I would suggest you pick it up. In the month of October, I also did a lot of listening to audiobooks because I was studying for a big exam to become a registered dietitian nutritionist in the end of October. So when I was doing chores, when I was not studying and things like that, folding laundry and such, I was listening to a lot of audiobooks that I rented from my local library. And one of them, even though I do have a physical copy, I borrowed and listened to, and that is the second book in the Delirium series, which is called Pandemonium by Lauren Oliver. And I do have it here. It's right here. I'm just going to be pulling books out of my shelves. So it's this one right here, and I read the first book earlier this year, Delirium, and I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was a little slow for me, although the premise of the story is really interesting. It's like nothing I've read before. It's kind of a dystopian story where the main character lives in the society where love is viewed as a disease. So to see how relationships are formed, or like what they lack in the families that they have, because once they turn 18 they have to go through this procedure where they are basically like fixed, like they go into their brains and they take away their ability to love and basically laugh and have fun and enjoy music and art and poetry and things like that. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed listening to it. The next book that I read in October was one that I've been wanting to read for a year and a half or so. That one is this one, The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. Post-apocalyptic sci-fi alien invasion novel. You might have already heard about this book because it's very popular in BookTube, and then also it's becoming a movie that's going to be released in January of 2016 in the US at least, and I'm very excited for this because I've only read the first one, and it's going to be a trilogy, and I really liked this book. It was very different, very unique, and I think this is probably the second book I've read like revolving around aliens and alien invasion and things like that. The first one being The Host, which is the one book that my fiance, when he was reading it, he said it reminded him of The Host. So when I read it, I had that in mind already, and I kind of agree with that because it does have some of that feel because of the whole, the type of aliens that are in this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and it was really entertaining and gripping, so I really recommend this series. In October, I also participated in Dewey's 24-hour readathon, which is basically 24 hours of you logging on to any social media that you want to, and basically you and all these people around the world start reading at the same time, at your own time, depending on where you are, and you basically all just read a book or read books for 24 hours straight. So I participated in that, and the book that I read during the readathon was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I did not finish this whole book. I think it's like 500 and something pages. It's almost it's 517 pages. So, but I did get to like probably 400 something. I am a very slow reader, even though I love reading. I read so slow, so I wasn't able to finish it. And I did start late because my starting time, I believe, was like at 5 a.m. and I don't think I wanted to wake up at 5 a.m. because I want to sleep at like midnight. So I wanted to get enough sleep to actually be up the rest of the 24 hours. Anyway, this book was so fun. It was so unique and it was awesome. As most of you probably know, if you've read any of Rainbow Rowell's books, if you've read Fangirl, you know that this is kind of a meta book, since she based it off of fan fiction that is written about a fictional world in books in the world of Fangirl, and those books are sort of inspired by Harry Potter. So it's kind of confusing there, but yeah. This book is really good. I really liked it. It's clever and it's hilarious. And I also want to do a book review for this eventually if I get time. So 5 out of 5 and I highly recommend it. And you do not need to read Fangirl before you read this. Boom! Boom! Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer. Yes, of course I read this in October because it came out and I was so excited when my fiance told me that he would buy it for me if we would drive to Target, and we got it. I was so excited, and you probably already saw this in my book haul, but still. Yes, I read it in October, and I think it took me a while because it was very big, basically. So I was reading this while I was also listening to other audiobooks, but I really enjoyed it, and I forgot how much I love Twilight, and I love it. And I think I give this version of it 4 out of 5, for many reasons, probably because my reading taste and just my standards of reading lately have definitely adapted since when I first read Twilight. I really enjoyed reading this because I love to see the whole gender situation and how basically it's the same story, and that it can be the same story even though that the genders are swapped, but you can still see some of the details regarding gender roles and what a male can get away with and what a female can get away with, and things like that, in seeing those genders switched. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, which I'll get more into in a book review if I eventually get to it. Also, I keep saying that, but I really want to talk about this book since I know some people might have very good reviews for it and some might have very bad reviews for it, and so it's just one of those that I want to talk about. If you have seen any of my other videos, you probably have noticed that you can hear a lot of background noise, doors opening and closing, people walking and talking down my hall, maybe sometimes the piano's playing. It's because I live in a freshman residential hall in a university, and I have an apartment in that building, so it's, yeah, the walls are really thin and you can hear everything. So yeah, that's just letting you know. I'm not gonna apologize for it because I can't control it, so yeah. Anyways, see, there you go with the door slamming. The audiobook that I listened to in October was Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. I had heard some good reviews about that book, and also that it is her debut novel, so it was her first novel. And I also heard somewhere online that it's actually being adapted into a movie and that Zoe Deutsch is going to be the main character. So I just wanted to see what it was about. And then, anyways, okay. I think I gave that book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I really liked the whole aspect of, you know, the main character dies and then this isn't the synopsis, so don't feel like I'm spoiling it for you. She basically goes through this whole ordeal of reliving her last day 6 times in a row, like kind of like Groundhog Day the movie, but just for 6 days. And basically she changes and she finds things about herself, and she develops very well throughout the story. Before I Fall is a very similar book to If I Stay, and I would say if you read If I Stay and you enjoyed it, I would recommend you to read Before I Fall as well. Last but not least is another book that I listened to in audiobook, and I think this book was great. I really liked it. It was really enjoyable and funny. That book is Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I always say it wrong, but it's versus the Homo sapiens agenda, not and the Homo sapiens agenda. It was really funny and it was really good, and some parts of it just kept me on the edge because they are about trying to find out who this person is, since he doesn't know who he's been emailing, and he doesn't know who he is in person, in real life. So It's kind of mysterious in that aspect, and it's also really fun. So I would recommend it as well. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm very proud that I got to read 7 whole books in October, even though I did listen to 3 of those, and I don't care. I count them because audiobooks are books and books are books and books are books, books. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of the books that I really would like to get to. This one right here, Magnus Chase, The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. My fiance literally just finished this like 15 minutes ago, and I've been waiting for him to finish it because I felt, and he also felt, that we should kind of wait till he's done with it so that I can read it and give it its full attention that it needs, because if I were to start reading it and he was still reading it, it would just not be fair to the book and to me. It would just throw me off, and I feel like I just want to read this exclusively without reading anything else alongside this one. So yes, I have to read this month, and I know I will. I'll probably read it in like 2 or 3 days since I've been waiting for this one to be available to me. Yeah. Okay, so the other book that I want to read this month is another one that was in my book haul, and that is Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. Oh my gosh. This book, there's something about this series that I can't just pick it up. Like, I have to be in the mood for this to read it, and I discovered that after I read Miss Peregrine's and kind of pushed through it, although I still loved it, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And then Hollow City, I was actually in the mood for, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I loved it because it was just so much more entertaining to me and suspenseful, and it just the cliffhangers. So then this one I'm really excited for, but I'm just waiting for that time, probably after I finish this, since I want to read this a lot, so that I want to read this, and then I'm just probably gonna breeze through it, especially because there's pictures in there and it just makes it easier to get through. Anyway, my camera keeps turning off because I don't have a camera. Actually, I'm recording on my cell phone. So anyways, where was I? Yes, this I'm excited for, and I really want to get to this month, and I will be kind of disappointed if I don't actually read it this month. But if I don't, then it's probably because, like I said, I was not in the mood for it. So I want to be fair to this book, and I want to also cherish the ending of this trilogy because the characters are so unique and the story is so unique, and the writing and the pictures are so well coordinated, like these weird creepy pictures. So yes, Library of Souls. Also went a little crazy in the beginning of this month and went to the library and went a little bit overambitious with the books that I checked out because I kind of want to read them all in November, but then I got stuck. I got a little bit of a reading slump after I finished The Martian. Oh, excuse me. After I finished The Martian, I didn't know what to read because I really wanted to read Magnus Chase, and I couldn't because somebody was still reading it. So I don't know if I'll get to all these books, but I'm going to mention them in here just in case I do. And I know I won't all of them, but still. I really want to read this. I don't own these books, except for I have the first one in ebook, but my library is so well stocked, so why not read them for free until I have, funds to actually buy them if I really love them. So, I've heard so much about Leigh Bardugo. I got to see her in Y'all West this year, in April, and I'm so curious. I need to know what the Grisha world is all about. I need to know. And also, Six of Crows came out recently, and a lot of people absolutely love that book. It's some people's new favorite book, and I need to read it, and I think I need to give this trilogy a go before I get to read Six of Crows. So I really want to read this month, maybe towards the end or probably the beginning of December. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I'll include it in this video because why not? I'm not going to mention all the books that I got at the library because I don't think it's realistic to myself to set those expectations that high for me to read 15 books total in November. So I am going to just mention the ones that I really want to get to sooner from the books that I checked out from the library. And the next one I want to talk about is this beauty right here, The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. So, yes, I have not read it, and I'm very sad that I haven't read it because everybody is raving about this series and these characters and these books and this world and the magic, and I just really want to read it. And I checked it out, and I don't know if I'll eventually purchase them. I might if I have the money for it. So, yes, I want to read this one. I don't know if, depending on how this book is, if I read it and I need to read the next one, I might drop everything else and go to the library and check out the rest of them. So it just depends. But I got the first one for now, so bam. The next library book that I want to mention is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I didn't even know who wrote this. Oh my gosh. I just know that I've heard about this book everywhere online. In Instagram and Bookstagram and Goodreads and all of those, and of course BookTube. So I really need to read this. I've heard it's great. I've heard that it has plot twists and turns and a great story. So I don't know much about it, and I just want to read it and be in the loop because I hate being out of the loop. I want to talk about books. Another pretty book that I got from the library is one that I put on hold because I've heard Catty-tastic and other booktubers mention this. It's actually a graphic novel? I think it's graphic novel, and that is Saga by, oh, they covered the author names. Oh no, it's right here. Brian K. Vaughan? I don't know how to say that. And Fiona Staples. This is volume 1 of this beautiful series. I think there's 5 so far out, published. I'm not sure. But apparently my library also has all of them, so I'm really excited. I only got the first one so far. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it already looks so awesome. I mean, there's a woman breastfeeding a, like, hybrid monster baby. I don't know what they are. Like, I'm so excited to find out what this is all about because I've heard people say great things. So if you've read it, let me know, and I'll definitely see if I can probably read it in between all of the Grisha, since it's so many of them. To get a break from that, I'll probably read this one in there since it's so probably a really quick read. So, yes. I forgot to mention, okay, I am going to listen to one audiobook for sure, and that is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare from the Infernal Devices, because I am going to have to start working again, and sometimes for my job I have to commute 1 or 2 hours. So, I like to have the CDs in my car, just pop them in there and listen to books that I love. And lately I've been listening to Clockwork Angel, so I will start Clockwork Prince on Monday. So yeah, I love those books. I love those books so much. So that was my October wrap up and my November TBR. I'm a little bit out of control today because it's hot in here. The heater is going and I have socks on, and okay, bye. See you next time.